Joining me right now on WNTK is Jody Underwood, and Jody is part of EdOpt.org. It's a very unique organization that makes folks, families, and everybody aware of educational options.
In New Hampshire. Yeah, that's right.
In New Hampshire, yes. Welcome, Jody.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So the main reason we're talking here today is you're having a fair. So why don't you tell us about it?
We're going to be meeting in Claremont on this next Monday, October 6th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Claremont Community Center over on South Street, across from the middle school. And the idea is we've invited basically all of the education providers in the area, including private schools and charter schools and home schools and so on. And so far we have about 10 representatives there, plus the Department of Ed that has an alternative pathways program, so you can talk to them about all their options. Children's Scholarship Fund that offers a couple of different scholarships to people. And then we will also have a table there, Education Options, where we can talk to people individually if they want some guidance and don't really know what to do and, who to talk to.
Well, it's a good point. What are the New Hampshire has an alternate pathways program? Discuss that. How's that work?
There's just so many different things. One is charter schools, right? And that gives you a different way to go. What a lot of people don't know about charter schools is that families don't have to pay tuition to go there.
They don't.
Right. And so you know that.
No, I'm surprised.
Okay.
They don't.
Right. And again, most people don't know that. And so this is one of the things we want to educate people about. So there are, at least I want to say 5 charter schools within 45 minutes of Claremont, and one of them's even in Claremont. I'm talking about Claremont, but this is really a regional thing. We're not just inviting families from Claremont to come. Newport can come, Unity, like whoever, because this is about the regional thing and reaching families. So charter schools are at different levels. Some are elementary, some are high school, and you have to fit into their paradigm. They take a different approach than most public schools, and that's the point, right? They get, there are special rules for them and, different RSAs compared to the public schools. So, for example, they only are required to have 50% of their teachers be state certified. So the other 50% or less, right? It has to be at least 50%, can just be experts in an area. Like, let's say you have, woodworking and you have a master carpenter. That's fine. He doesn't have to go through education certification.
That's on the good side. On the bad side, they could just put a body in there.
They can do that with somebody who is certified, too.
Sure. There's varying degrees, but yeah.
That's right. I personally don't think getting certified means you're a good teacher. There are so many people who are naturally good teachers.
There are.
And so many people who aren't. And certification, anybody can get certified, I want to say.
Okay. So let's talk about the providers, and also, more importantly, since obviously charter schools don't have any tuition, but what about some of the other schools? And if there is something like that, how would a family who wants to take advantage of it, how would they go about getting that tuition if they can't afford it?
Sure. So there are. A lot of people think that private schools are all expensive. And they're not. Like, look at Newport Montessori. Expensive. Everything is relative, but their tuition is about $10,000 per kid per year. You might get discount if you have family members and so on. And to a lot of families, I'm sure that's a lot of money too. But there are scholarships you can get. So we have 2 that the Children's Scholarship Fund oversees. One is called the Education Tax Credit Scholarship, which I don't even know how many people know about this one. It's been around since, I want to say, 2016 or so. Don't quote me, but a while. And there you qualify for it by having income below, I believe it's 300% of the federal poverty level. And it's a small amount, but a lot of, especially the religious schools, they do sliding scale based on need. So they like help. So if you can get a scholarship, that'll make it easier for them to accept you. And the other scholarship that New Hampshire offers is called Education Freedom Accounts, which also a lot of people don't know about. And those, up until this year, you needed to qualify by, it changed over the couple of years. It's been around 3 years so far. This is the 4th year. It was last year 350% of the federal poverty level, which, if I remember correctly, was at about $109,000 for a family of four. Like that was what they would have to earn to qualify for this, or less, right? But now it's universal. So anybody qualifies. Now, what happened when they changed it to universal was they put a cap on the number of students who could get it to limit what the state was paying for it. So last year, there were about 5,200 students who were getting EFAs, Education Freedom Accounts, and they upped that cap to 10,000 students. Well, they hit that cap in the middle of July. So there were a lot of families who were above that 350% of the federal poverty level who were interested in this. And so while that cap was hit very quickly, they still have more spaces for families who do qualify based on income, based on kids who have special needs. If they are, I want to say if in third grade they're not reading at the grade reading level, and then there's one more. English as a second language, if you're doing that. All of those still would qualify to get it. They only start you off quarterly. So everybody started in September, but there's also a starting point in November, and then every 2 or 3 months, and I don't remember exactly. But you can come to our fair and talk to Children's Scholarship Fund about those exact details and see if you could qualify for it. So that actually mirrors the adequacy money that the state pays the public schools per kid. Do you know how that works?
No, I don't.
That's fair.
I'm a grandfather now, so a lot of this information. My only involvement with public schools is, I'm paying a lot for them.
Absolutely, and we all feel that these days, right? Mm-hmm. But so some of that money really is offset by the state giving the school districts this what they call adequacy grants, and that. Again, I don't know the exact numbers, but it starts at around $4,000 for a baseline for each kid if they have 100% attendance. It's based on seat time for the year before. And then those 3 categories I named, there's more money that's given to them based on that. If they're special needs, if the families are at, that federal poverty level, whatever that cutoff is, and if they're English language learners. So that's the amount you get for an EFA. The same as is given to a public school. So that could be up to like $8,000 per year per kid if you qualify on all those things. So that will get you a long way into some of these private schools. You asked how they would pay for these things.
Sure.
But then there's also homeschooling, and let's not forget that. These scholarships will also pay for homeschooling. Mm-hmm. And that, in my understanding, I've heard different numbers about it, but families who can do it spend between on average $1,000 and $1,200 per year per kid. So these scholarships are more than enough for families to homeschool if somebody can actually stay home and guide it. But at the same time, you can pair up with other families and they do something like a co-op, an informal co-op, where a bunch of families get together. They might hire a teacher to teach certain classes. They might go on field trips to museums and so on, all based on kids' interests and what they're ready for and so on. So this supports that too. So, and then you can mix it all up too. So those are the big things. We also have representatives from, like I say, some Christian schools. You got Claremont Christian Academy, Estabrook Christian School. I'll mention that we have Surrey Village Charter School and Making Community Connections Charter School. And that one is down in Keene, but if you can get your kid there and they suit that environment, again, no tuition, you can go to those schools. They both have seats, both of these schools. So a lot of them have hit their max because a lot of people are interested in alternatives these days.
Well, the event, the fair, is taking place on Monday. That's from 5 to 7, was it? And most importantly, I think we've talked about a lot of alternatives and programs that are available, but to a parent that's just walking into this, what do they bring? They go to the event. They should be prepared. What should they bring?
They should know what they're not happy with.
That's a good idea. Mm-hmm.
Yep. To see how that can be fixed, right? They need to know what their limitations are. They have, Single mom working full time, that's a limitation. Then you want a drop-off program of some sort, right? Homeschooling's probably not the most appropriate. 2 families, 1 person working, consider homeschooling. Even if they're both working, consider it. Because in the long run, I mean, what's more important than your kids' education? Especially if they're not fitting into the public schools. And a lot of kids fall through the cracks there. You know, I mean, these days especially, people aren't happy with the ideology being put forth in public schools. They would rather have a different environment for their kids. So there are some charter schools in New Hampshire that follow a conservative curriculum from Hillsdale College. They're seemingly very successful, and they're popping up around the state. So again, you just want to know what you want for your kid. Do you want a small school, a large school? You know, where would the kid fit in best? And then again, I mean, so if you homeschool, you can also take classes in your local public school. You don't have to be enrolled full time. So if you take an EFA, then you actually have to pay for that time. But if you're an independent homeschooler, you don't have to pay for the public school time because you're paying property taxes for that. Well, I mean, that's not the full reason why, because EFAs are also paying property taxes, but they're getting state money for it. So that would be double dipping. There's
a lot to consider in this whole thing. And that's primarily the reason for the event. And like I said, it's going to take place on Monday.
Yes.
And it's at the Claremont Community Center on South Street. And people with any questions, well, if they have any questions immediately, they could go to the website, couldn't they?
They can. And if they want announcements, because we have other fairs coming up too, I mean, a little bit outside of this community. There's one in Keene. Mm-hmm. So I'm jumping ahead. That's November 3rd. And then there's one in Candia on October 27th, both Monday nights as well. Also early evening, both starting at 5. You can subscribe to EdOpt.org, and then you'll get our announcements about these, plus some other information. We send a weekly very short newsletter about these things, but always talking about the fairs that we have. So that's an easy way to find out. You can just jump on our website and look at all the providers in your area, too. There's this great map. You can zoom in and out and filter and just do all these really cool things on there.
Well, lots of answers for potential questions that people may have.
Yes.
And that's the important thing. That's, once again, that's EdOpt, EDOPT.org. Very easy to remember.
It is. And what I would like to say is, I mean, a lot of families just aren't aware. So this one family got in touch with us, and we have a contact us thing. If you're really, like, you just don't know what to do. So one family said, I have a kid in 2nd grade who is bored and a kid in 4th grade who's falling behind. I can't homeschool and I live in the middle of nowhere. What do I do? So we had a phone call, and it turns out she lives in Canaan in the Upper Valley. And I was like, so there's a very rich homeschool community in this area. She's like, there is? She just didn't know. You don't even know what to ask.
It's about contact. Well, that's why I asked earlier, what does one bring? So
you bring your questions and
absolutely.
Your situation. And but I'd like to continue that story, though, because then she was like, okay, so now I'm interested suddenly in homeschooling because there's a community. Now what? So I told her about this co-op idea, getting together with other families. And she was like, we're allowed to do that? So you think you need to ask permission? No, exactly. So that's why I encourage people to come with their situations, and we'll help them articulate those questions and help and send them hopefully in a good path for themselves.
Well, it's optimism and a good thing. And thanks for dropping by, Jody. And I want to remind everybody this event takes place at the Claremont Community Center Monday, October 6th, starting at 5.
That is it.
And I hope folks turn out and get the answers that they wish.
Thank you so much for having me.